The records are now open. You know what time it is, everybody. Let's dive into our Akashic Records. Welcome to Akashic Answers with Emily. I'm excited to be here with you. I'm challenging myself not to keep welcoming you in with this sing-songy voice. Just maybe talk more real. But you know, I've got this Hollywood background, so sometimes when I call action, even if it's for myself, I'll go full Hollywood on you, so you got to be careful. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Akashic Answers with Emily. I am really excited, as usual, because I get so much energy from this space, from you all. Thank you for sharing the space with me. To another episode. So what we're going to do here in this space, if you are new, is we're going to dive into the Akashic Records, and you are a part of the show. Whether you are new or whether you regularly join me inside of this space, we're all part of what gets called forward together in this time. And I always look forward to what comes in. It brings awareness to the rest of my week of where to pay attention to patterns coming in. Inevitably, the things that we talk about here in this space, Akashic Answers with Emily, these are the same patterns that I see coming up in my clients and myself. So this is really a dissection zone, a place where we all get to work together and our collective consciousness gets to call forward the intelligence from the Akashic Records that's here to assist us. So if you are new, let me know that you're new. And by the way, take a moment and share this out if you don't mind. I'm actually not even going to do that until later because I've learned about myself, my multitasking abilities. When I'm live on camera to share things out, it's not really smooth. Joe Fox in the house, Malia here, Melanie, say hello once you get here. If you are a regular, like some of these friends that I have just given shouts out to, you'll know I also love to start the show by inviting the activation of share where you're from, begin to visualize these pinpoints of light coming up all over our beautiful planet. The more we bring simple awareness to the work that we're doing, and simple, like we're using our senses here, we're visualizing, we're strengthening the work because the work really is that simple. So how we're healing the planet, it's even more profound as we imagine what it looks like to have these connection points that we can filter information through. But it also helps you individually because you are being required to activate your imagination. And if you're like me and so many more of us here on the planet, there have been blocks, challenges, belief systems that you've been indoctrinated into around your imagination being false. Maybe some of you had really big aspirations as a child and someone told you to get your head out of the clouds. Might have happened to me. So, yeah, actually, I just want to let that land a little bit more because it's so simple. And I know those of you who come into my field are great visionaries and great imaginers. And as that superpower, that gift returns to you, the speed at which we get to change the planet and the bliss that we get to experience just happens so much faster. So thank you for playing with me. It's why I love what I do. If you are new, let me introduce myself. I'm Emily Harrison, founder director here inside the Akashic Academy. The wind is blowing outside and my chimes just hit my window twice. I'm like, yes, I hear you. My area of expertise, it's beautiful that the elements are coming in, the element of air coming in. I think all of the elements are so important, but let's talk about the elements because depending on what lineage you interpret the elements, of course, the 4 directions, the elements in shamanic tradition is so powerful. The Chinese elements, we can look at earth, wind, water, fire, the Native American traditions. There are lots of different ways that we can look at the elements. One way that the Akash fits into this is through the framework of Pete Doherty in the house, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Pete? Is the Akash. Akash is Sanskrit for ether. Ether is primordial energy. It is the fifth element. It is the element from which earth, wind, water, fire, earth, wind. So the wind would be the air of the chimes hitting my window, right? So see, there are different interpretations. But the Akash is the fifth element, and the element from which all other aspects of universal matter are created, including thoughts. The Akashic Records, what are they? They are the realm of consciousness where all information, past, present, all possible futures, has been programmed or recorded. It is accessible to us through the perspective of God mind. This is really important, okay? Because the way the information is recorded in the Akashic Records is not the same perspective that you are experiencing life or your thoughts until you learn to tap into this higher consciousness. Inherently, the human condition, we are born into a singularity. So we start as this collective all oneness with God, with source. There's no contrast. So this cool dimension like Earth School, and there are other schools out there like Earth School that work with contrast. Not all of them though, only the really high level ones, because this gets challenging at times, people. I feel you, okay? But when it comes to contrast, one of the reasons we incarnate here on this planet is we start in this state of oneness with God or source or creator, but it only feels a certain way. It's imagine monotone, right? So what happens is these places like Earth School were invented where a soul can incarnate as an individual singularity of the God personality. That's why we say namaste, the light within me, or the God within me salutes the God within you. We're all incarnating as unique aspects of the ultimate creator of God personality. And then our job or our mission on this planet gets to be, how do we choose a self-expression of that artistry, of our unique expression of God? We're not all the same. We all have different curiosities and different passions and different inherent skills. And our job is to meld all of that together and say, how do I show up and serve humanity? And be nice to everybody, including myself, as I go. It's really not that hard. And it can be incredibly complicated too. All the best stuff is, isn't it? It's complicated, yet simple and profound, all at the same time. So, as we're experiencing this challenging incarnation here on the earth plane, isn't it helpful to tap in to the universal consciousness, the one mind? When I was having my awakening experience and decided that human potentiality and what is possible is the best story on the planet. I was an actress before I did this. For those of you who don't know my story, I'm not going to go into the whole thing today, but I think it's kind of a fun one. I grew up in a really small town in the Midwest. I stayed there till I was 19, 2 years into college, quit college, hightailed it to Hollywood, where I was an actress for 20 years. And that experience required me to learn really how to manage my own internal energy. So I looked for different arts that cultivate subtle energy, like meditation and Tai Chi and Qigong. And boy, if that didn't take over. All right, why am I telling you this about sometimes I go off on tangents and can't remember why. There's another point to this. We'll get back to it. Akashic Records. Who knows? All right, back to the records. What we want to use them for today is tapping in and getting this super conscious level of guidance. Somewhere along the line, I was going to tie this back to why I chose the Akashic Records, because I feel like the Akashic Records are the most powerful self-actualization tool we have here on the planet. When I talk about human potentiality and what's possible for the human genome that's been hidden from us, that story is bigger than Hollywood, and it's exciting. And we're going to need a guidebook, a Bible, a new Bible along the way to help us really understand what is possible. And I feel like that's the Akashic Records. When we ask the right questions, which is why I'm so happy you all are joining me here. This is how we get the Akashic Records to work. Yes, it's this profound piece of technology that when we learn to shift our consciousness into these higher states, we can tap in and read the Akashic Records or get impressions back in our imagination. That's how the communication in the Akashic Records works. It works through imagination. Okay. It also works through what's known as invitation only. And it doesn't mean that only certain ones of us are invited into the record. I know. I like it VIP and exclusive too. Pete Doherty, I get it. But truly, I'll cut this shit with you all. All humans can access this. However, it's not going to come into the awareness of all humans because not all humans are ready. So there's like this bit of a time lock on it. Unfortunately for us who are tapping in, we're not the majority, okay? The majority still looks at us like we might be a little crazy. And so part of our experience is, and this is one of the biggest objections, people really want to work with me, but they're like, my family's going to think I'm crazy. Part of the process, we'll reframe that. It's okay. But I do find that that's a commonality as we are waking up to this intelligence. We ask ourselves if we're crazy, and we're worried that our family and our friends around us are going to feel like we're crazy. I'm glad you're here too, Kimberley. The records work by invitation only. If you are here, your soul has seeded this experience for you because it's time. There's something in your life that this higher level of intelligence, you being able to access it, if you ask the right questions, you're going to unlock the information that you need. But it's all about the questions. Invitation only means you must invite forward the knowledge that you are seeking. Ooh, we are in a powerful planetary alignment right now too, everybody. Powerful gateway. There's always really, like, I'm not trained in astrology, but I do love to follow it. And I either follow it sometimes a little ahead of the curve. Usually I'm behind the curve. Intuitively, I'm feeling it. I'm like, oh, I better check what's going on in the planetary alignment. And sure enough, the celestial signatures of stars, nodes, planets really begin to illuminate what I've been noticing myself. We're in a really incredible gateway right now where as souls, we're all doing the work on a really profound level, and we're being invited to get brave, get big with our visions, get imaginative, get truthful with ourselves about what we really want to experience. It's going to be slightly, actually, it'll be a lot varied for us what we really want to experience. But that truth is the same, that most people are out of touch with what they really want to experience in life because there's been a lot of shame. My third eye is going off as I say this. That's tuning fork around this one. A lot of shame and guilt around living a life that is fulfilled and creative and prosperous and exciting and curious and blissful and abundant. Let's just shoo some of that out of here. But that will be a major block if you haven't had a come to Jesus meeting with yourself about what you really want to be experiencing and creating in life. This won't work. But part of that exploration is we get to discover the truth of who we are. We get to learn to love ourselves, and we get to ask the questions that allow the unfolding of the truth of who we are. Asking questions opens everything. It's how we create dynamic feedback loops with the universe about what we want to experience. How many of you notice yourself asking yourself questions like, why am I so fill in the blank with a negative recurring situation that you keep experiencing? Why am I so broke? Why do I keep attracting the same kind of relationships into my life? Why do I feel stuck at my job? Guess what, Master Creator? That question creates a feedback loop with the universe. Your brain's job is to ask the questions that guide your heart. Now, I have a feeling Most of you do not really want to know the answer. I mean, we do because we want to change the answers to those things. But what we're inadvertently doing is we're creating more of those circumstances and situations by asking why. We got to switch some things. We got to ask, why is it so easy for me to experience? Let the heart illuminate what you really want to experience. And then the mind's job is to ask questions that create feedback loops with the universe that bring about into your physical reality the answer to your question. See, the answer is inherently, the solution is inherently there within the answer. So you got to train your mind to ask the questions that have the answers that you really want. Okay. Why is it so easy for me to experience XYZ? And when you let the heart guide and be the compass and then begin retraining how your human genome and physiology and biology creates feedback loops with the ether, that's when you begin seeing a shift in your material reality. That's a good one. Could not repeat that. Woo! I love being a puppet of the universe, y'all. So fun. All right. That's why questions are so important. In this space, your questions are really important. So let's get some questions rolling in. Feel free to type in questions that will reveal more guidance in your own personal microcosm, whatever you're experiencing in your personal life. Also, I see we have some powerful visionaries in the house too. I have noticed that in this badass gateway that we're in, as I am inviting more vision and clarity and innovation with how I get to show up and change the planet, I have really cool ideas dropping in that seem pretty big and far-fetched. And then I settle into them and I imagine them unfolding. And what I'm noticing is that the souls that are coming into my field are of a really high level of consciousness. And I have this reinvigoration of sharing my genius with souls who have cultivated high levels of genius in other areas of esoteric information and metaphysical information. And it is fun and exciting. Because when we get really high level scientific and philosophic and medical and artistic minds asking the right questions, I'm just the conduit of the space. And I happen to know that a couple cool things about my energy. One, I have the energy inherently in my blueprint and my timeline to reverse engineer the dream life. I told you like a blip of my story, but how many of you have heard the story of the girl from the Midwest who quits life and gets off the bus and goes to Hollywood and was like, oh shit, this place is big. I better find my way. That was me. What I recognized after I went through the Akashic Records was, it's part of what I get to share with other people here on the planet is what it means to embody your biggest dream and your biggest potential and then step into it. That's really fun. I also know that there are many ways to get into the Akashic Records. And like I said in the beginning of this video, we're all using and interacting with the Akash anyway. I'm not going to go into explaining exactly how that works right now, but we're all using it to a certain degree anyway. What I found that's unique about my energy is that I hold a frequency where other people have a high level of access, especially while you're learning and you're learning to tap. And even people who are really great at doing it. It's like an amplifier, high frequency container where the work just gets easier. It's like, I'll hold open the portal of space-time and you just get all what you're here to get. And working with people who like to play like that is just really fun. Okay, let's dive in and take some questions. I think we got some comments coming in first though. Get your questions rolling in. Oh, by the way, I don't see a whole lot of questions yet. So if you still get your question in, it just might get answered. Sometimes when we have too many questions, I can't get to everybody. Ask the questions. But you got a good shot now. Even if I don't get to your question, it's important if you feel comfortable and safe, please share it in the comments. at the very least, speak it in your heart right now, because like I said, in this space, my intention is that the next bits of information that you need for clarity moving forward in your life that are going to make a difference are going to drop in for you, or be, there's a shaman technique called tracking. So imagine you got the acorn and then you track it at several stages until eventually you can track it into a forest. But you want to track these thoughts a bit, right? So whether it drops in based on something that I say today, or you track your thoughts, ear adjustment. After this, my intention is that the next piece that you need drops in for you today. So ask, please ask. And the way the energy works is by being brave and sharing that with the universe. I do believe you're going to get even more, whether it's me or not answering. The other thing that I want to say is that if I'm answering someone's question that's not you, but you're pinging, you're noticing energy movement shift, tingling, aha moments, new ideas popping in, emotion coming in, then you are receiving intelligence and an activation, and it is for you, whether you ask the question or not. Now we've got more people coming in. Great. Penny's new. David, hello. Okay, Kimberly's been finding flow. Most of the time moves us forward, leaving behind the doubt. I've been finding in flow, most of the time moves us forward and leaves behind the doubt. Yeah, you know what? I love this, Kimberly. What I'm hearing right now is that as I read that, what's illuminated in my field is the awareness of doubt comes in mostly for me if I'm stagnant. If I stay in flow, I'm good. And flow is just, it's a balance of three things. Imagine three interlocked circles. It's rest, play, and work, or our mission, or like how we show up and serve. I actually like probably the word serve is better, but you guys follow me there. All right, right on. I'm excited to play. Let's dive in here. Anne, am I going to practice sounding out? Okay, I'm going to sound out your last name, but 2 vowels in a row scares me, especially when I'm live. Oikle. It's not that hard. I'm like, oikle. Anne Oikley. I'm always afraid to say your last name, even when we met at Corey's event. But I love that you're here, and thank you for being here, Anne, and being with me while I stumbled through pronouncing your last name. You can let me know how I did. Anne says, what is the best way to go about asking questions? I usually ask questions before I go to bed, but I don't always remember my dreams. Oh, I could preach on this all day, Anne. This is good. Okay. Let's see where the guides want to start first. First of all, okay, they want to talk about remembering the dreams first. And they're saying that you're not remembering your dreams because you're not writing them down and you're not sticking with the dream journal. I've been doing good on this one, but I'm grinning and exchanging with my guides because, Anne, this is all over the highest level work that I'm doing personally right now to expand, that I'm doing with my VIP clients to expand, and that I see coming forward with really high level individuals, people who are really adept at this work. The dreamscape is super important, and we're each going to have a different experience with our dreamscape. And you have to be present to the experience and it will begin to reveal itself to you. But the starting point is always writing dream journal. And honestly, I have never met, including myself, who I normally, if I'm not paying attention to this, and what I've noticed as I've started doing the dream work is that if I miss a part of the ritual that I created for myself, between myself and one of my really special VIP clients, we're exploring this together. But if I miss any part of that ritual that I downloaded and created, then I'm not as strong in any of the areas. And the writing down of the dreams the next morning is really important. And in the first week, I learned about a million things, not even one of them, I should say, maybe only a few of them actually related to the information I was getting in my dreams. The work's very multidimensional. You learn a million things about yourself. So week one, for me and the client that I was working with, looked like get committed to the dream journal process, which we kind of failed on sometimes. But again, you learn where the discipline needs to come in for your highest up level. And our second goal for the first week was to become lucid within the dreamscape, which we both did really quickly. And there was beautiful activation and experience in that. And since then, it's continued to unravel. Again, not always even in what I'm learning in the dreamscape when I'm remembering it. For those of you who are pinging and your dreamscape, the invitation to look there and play there is becoming alive. Start with a dream journal. Keep it. You got to keep it by your bed. For me personally, I have to keep it in bed because I'll lose it that quickly. Write down what you remember. If you don't remember dreams, you are still responsible for communicating in your dream journal. And your job is to then write down the feelings that you are noticing in your body when you wake up. Easy enough. Cool. Okay. Next piece that the guides want to address is about asking questions, because this is fantastic. If you want me to send you the, I call it two names. One's really clear and then one's catchy. You know what they say, clear over catchy. The Akashic Scrolls, the helpful question guide. You see why they work together. See, one's really kind of fancy and fun, but doesn't really tell you what it is. But sort of does if you know questions unlock things. The Akashic Scrolls. Asking the right questions unlocks everything. If you want access to the Akashic Scrolls, type Akashic Scrolls into the comments for me. And I will make sure my team reaches out and gets your email and we send that to you. But it's basically a helpful question guide, which is a framework that you can follow on how to actually word questions. Because when you think of words, spells, frequency, asking questions in the right frequency will change the way that you get answers, and there's nuance to it. Okay? The basics, this guide will really help you, but just to like bring this full circle, the basics are: don't ask yes or no questions in the records. There's much more information that can be brought through in that space. So you want to ask open-ended questions, and you want to ask questions that take full responsibility for what it is that you've created. Okay? No asking why your neighbor is such an asshole every time you go, nope. It's got to be framed around you, what you're doing to create it. What do I need to learn from this situation? What is this situation inviting me to learn that I'm missing? How can I show up in a higher octave of myself? Okay, so questions that take personal responsibility. Yeah, those are the basics. This is an intention that you can have, and this is helpful for all kinds of work in the galaxy that we do. This is an intention that you can have. The guides are bringing into my mind this moment before you ask questions, and that is, why do you want the information? Take a moment to get clear. Why would this be helpful for me? Okay, maybe you want to ask about guidance in your career. So why would this be helpful to me? Because I want to feel abundant and prosperous and creative. And I've noticed that like I've shown up in that area of my life, like in struggle and fear. I want to feel this way. And this would be valuable to me because it opens up information and access. All of these things, it seems really simple, but it begins to call forward a very dynamic frequency of intelligence that's going to help and support you. Okay. By the way, Anne, Dreamtime is a great time to access the Akashic Records. I love it. I would love to know if this information resonates with you. So correct, struggling with the dream journal. Busted! Thank you guys for, I see you who are all wanting the Akashic Scrolls. Yay! Yay, Akashic Academy team. Let's make sure that we get all of these beautiful souls access. Very good. All right, let's dive in and grab some more questions. Actually, I like to do an activation before we dive in. Let me see what activation they want to do. A dreamscape activation for us. Okay. I love this one. If you want to experience a connection with the Akashic Records before you go into Dreamtime, something that you can add to your routine if you're setting intentions or have certain meditations or crystals that you use to connect with. Another aspect that you can add in that's super simple is getting really quiet and noticing the ringing in your ears, that sound of silence. And it's easiest to hear, at least for me, at night before I go to sleep. But I want to just invite you guys to hear it right now. You might not be in a place where you can hear it. And even if you are in a place where you could maybe normally not hear it because there's too much noise around you, perhaps your supersonic ears get to turn on right now in this moment, and you do get to hear it. So let's all tap in and see if you can hear that ringing in the ears. Yeah. It's a very spiritual and sacred sound. Scientists have traced that sound back to the Big Bang, echoes of the Big Bang. If you study religious texts, I think pretty much throughout all of them, somewhere God or the godlike being talks about the importance of sound, primordial sound. In the Bible, which again, it's only one interpretation, but God talks about, lo, I am here with you always from your first breath until your very last breath. What's cool about Akash or ether is that the primordial, or should I call it that? One of the most fundamental dynamic characteristics of this space of consciousness is sound. You can think of God spoke the universe into existence or the Big Bang. Akashic Records, recording sound. However it's pinging in your field right now. Just by tapping into that energy, that sound, and holding it in our awareness, giving our permission for our entire being to vibrate to that frequency, even for just 15 seconds, you will begin to attune your energy field to the Akashic Records. Okay, cool. That was the activation for that one. Right on. Let's dive in and grab some more. Yeah, Cletus says, I always hear several tones of ringing. Okay. All right. Let's find a question. Stacey, thank you so much for being here. Stacey Krogstad, I'm glad you're here. How can my partner end a pattern of feeling unsafe? Followed. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what the followed part means. Sorry, I'm messing with my hair too. Let me just mess with it one more time and get it feel like it looks cute, and then see if I can get my hands out of it. Stop messing with your hair, Emily. I love coming in, but you just mess with your hair all the time. It's it's still a little challenging to sit here in front of all y'all day. Okay, let me just get all the wardrobe fixed. Thank you. All right. Stacey, I don't fully understand what you mean by followed. So if that feels really important, please explain that to me in a different way. And then I'm going to go back to the first part of the question, which is how can my partner end a pattern of feeling unsafe? Okay. First thing the guides want to talk about is that when we show up in a partnership where we don't like something that our partner is doing, we always have to examine it through the aspect of reflection. What are they reflecting in me that is unhealed within myself? It's not all of the work, but it's definitely a huge part of the work. Okay. Also, it's really important to note that that's how our soul contracts work, is that we often show up to heal things in each other's lives. We got to be really careful about this process, though. The guides want to explain some things about how that good intention kind of went wrong somewhere along the way and began to imprison us rather than truly allow us to help each other as souls. And that's why a lot of conflict, and I'll just speak really personally and vulnerably here myself too, experiencing not knowing how to, as the overall masculine feminine paradigms shift and change from, we came together based on a woundedness. And like I said, there's incarnating here as a human, yes, we're here to experience ourselves as the godlike selves that we are, and that includes creating, but it also includes an aspect that we're missing as a whole on this planet is self-healing. And that is our ability to regenerate and to self-heal. And that means emotionally and physically. And so in human relationships, in like soulmate and specifically marriage partner, those kind of relationships, for a while we got stuck in an era, a paradigm, a construct of a true innate desire to come together to help each other. However, because we came together with this, making a soul agreement based around the wound, and I'll protect you and you protect me, it created an incongruency that didn't allow the human consciousness to heal. Or if it did, it shook the pure anchoring of what the relationship was anchored on to begin with, which was the lack of wholeness, right? So if we build a relationship on lack of wholeness, I got your back, you got my back. What eventually happens is when the soul wants to heal, there's not that space and safety to heal because it threatens why we need them. I know, it's shit's deep. And then we have to either rearrange it in some way. Deconstruct it and rearrange it in some way. So I share that to say there's always a mirrored effect in relationships, whether they're built in the old paradigm or the new paradigm, which looks like being clear on what our soul desires to experience. Again, that theme of what do you want? Get clear with what you want, clear out the shame, clear out the guilt, clear out the areas where you haven't given yourself permission. It's a big one. I feel like they cleared my mind. I have no idea I know what I was talking about, but they did just do like a total mind clear. So you're gonna have to give me 1 second to drop back in. Sometimes that's also an indication of time for me to go take a walk out in nature, because I've been in the energies too long. You got to be responsible for your time in the records. I am going to come back though. Hang on. Send some love, likes, hearts across the screen for me. Let's get our algorithms up, at least while I remember what I was saying. Okay. New paradigm is based on, what we desire to experience. It's so big, you guys. It's so simple, but so big. Hopefully during that dramatic pause when I couldn't even remember what I was talking about, you may be in your laughing at me. Maybe you got a little entertainment. Hopefully you also took a moment to think about, what do I really want? Or maybe you went too. If you did, there's something in there for you. Spend time over the next 24 hours thinking about what you really want to experience, because that will inform how either the old relationships get rebuilt or how you get to build new relationships from here on out. You don't want to drag that old stuff into the new paradigm. Okay? If this is making sense, send some love, likes, hearts across the screen. All right, let's go back to the idea of feeling unsafe. Lack of safety can come from a lot of different places, but the same, or the congruence, we got to look at the sameness. Like, where can we all learn and understand and grow here together? Safety is something that you choose based on the frequency that's being emitted from the root chakra. So if the root chakra is like feeling really unsafe, root chakra is at the base of the spine. It governs our safety and security in life, in emotions, in relationships, physically, financially, spiritually, all of the above and below. And if we've had traumas in our life, what happens is there can be an imbalance in that chakra, in the frequency. The trauma or the remembrance or the imprint of that trauma is held somatically somewhere within our tissues. Different ways that we can go about releasing it. Lots of different ways to go about releasing it. And Stacey, you could actually, I know you're a high-level priestess goddess. You could just ask what the medicine needs to be to rebalance, and you just kind of like quantumly play and rebalance whatever they tell you to do. And then also doing the support in, our own human experience, and that is finding the most alive moment that feels connected with your partner of when they felt really unsafe and when they made a decision that they couldn't feel safe. It might have to do with speaking truth too, because I am feeling like some pepper in the throat chakra as I'm sharing this. The guides are also saying this for everybody. That's why it's fun. Right now, here's how we clear all patterns. We have to examine them and look at them and kind of give ourselves a little, ooh, that's a trigger coming up. But we still have to get triggered by it, and we have to make a different choice of how to respond when we're in the trigger. And that's why meditation, regular meditation, is so important, because it actually allows us to slow down time internally, meaning it gives us more awareness of our thoughts and what's happening in our patterns, and allows us to make choices that are different. Woo, that was all good stuff. Thank you, Stacey. Stacey says, thank you. Honored to be here. He feels, oops, let me go back. I scrolled down. Cletus. Yeah, I want to go back to yours too. That's a good one, Cletus, about family trauma. But Stacey, he feels it is because of the corrupt government, his resistance and opposition to their agenda. Okay. Can't argue with that. Say it into the mic, the guides say, which is really just a tuning fork. And more powerfully, just a tuning fork. Yes, and as above, so below. It's much easier to shift everything on the microcosm. So if he can find any area inside of himself where that same pattern, that same theme is at work, and he doesn't really want it to be, and he can shift that, that's a huge part of his mission in shifting the actual corruption of the government. And not to say that he's not, here to organize the next citizens' hearing on the corrupt assholes of the dark forces and the Kabul. Because some of us are. So, and it wouldn't surprise me if y'all were in this space. But even if you're doing the work on that huge level, I guarantee you, the biggest people who are here doing the work, who are gurus, you don't like the word guru, call them something else, leaders, way showers that you know and love. Every single person who has influence and impact here on the planet right now is doing the work on their own microcosm. It's where the hardest work and all the magic is done. Lena's here. Oh, I'll shake your core any day, Lena. I love you. Are you still here? Nice. That triggered you in your soul. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Let's go back here to healing past family trauma and traumas of soul family here as my cats. Hello. Children coming home from school. I'm live. I need a sign to hang on my door. I didn't give them a forewarning that I was live. Okay. All about healing family, ancestral trauma. It's a huge part of this work. Soul family, here is your cats. Okay. This is one reason why the Akashic Records are, I feel, really important, because there are aspects that where we're being called to come forward and assimilate knowledge and information and play with it in new ways. And sometimes they don't make a lot of sense or sound kind of crazy. Not that I'm saying that sounds a little, but I actually get it. Part of, the animal kingdom, when we begin to dive in and explore what is available for us there, it is a whole new world. And when I first began doing this work, and as I followed what I've been telling y'all since the beginning of this broadcast, what do you want to do? What do you love? What does your soul really want to experience? My imagination come up with some crazy shit, y'all. I think of going into, I said I wasn't gonna mess with my hair, hang on. Vortexes like Mount Shasta and Sedona, these have been the 2 places I've created so far. And using the geography of the land and the high levels of piezoelectric energy, the tons of UFO activity, the sacred access to higher levels and interdimensional levels of consciousness that exist in those places, man, let's go create and meditate and go into some vortexes and have some fun. And I've happened to cross paths with the most powerful piece of quantum technology on the planet. The Mitchell-Hedges crystals are one of them. There are 13 crystal skulls, but the Mitchell-Hedges crystal skull from the Atlantean time period and perhaps beyond is now an artifact that comes on location with me and those that I train, that I take into those vortexes for training. And that's some crazy imagining and creation. And so I get it, and I'm with you on and understand from firsthand why we need the Akashic Records to tap into higher levels of intelligence and pull all these pieces together. Okay? Let's talk about healing past family trauma. Whether you are a family like, oh, do I even say them out loud? Fine, say some of them out loud. JP Morgan family, Rockefeller family. That's all I'll say for now. I could say a lot more modern ones too. All right. We talked about this being a zone where we learn through contrast. Let me weave together a little Hollywood for y'all too. We're storytellers. We're showing up and we're creating our own story in every single moment. And right now, until we fully step into this new earth paradigm, when it's going to look slightly different, but there's going to be a lot of similarities and a lot's going to look a lot different. But right now, when we look at story, our storyline is told, the catalyst is conflict. Anytime we're alchemizing something, which means turning something from a lower density into a higher density, that's from a corruptible state into an incorruptible state, we're going through this process. And something shakes it loose. In our collective storyline as humans that we're all experiencing together, there are certain dynasty families that have been responsible for suppression of intelligence and different ways of keeping us all plugged into a matrix of ignorance about the truth of who we are that keeps us enslaved and running in this stupid matrix of stress and XYZ. And if we just learn to shut that off and tap in up here, they would seriously have no power. But while we're in this construct where we've given them power, they have a lot of power. So it's really learning about how to look at that incongruence or that darkness or that shadow within oneself and healing that. But we also have this collective idea of family lineage. And there are certain aspects of trauma that are carried in our DNA that are part of what perpetuate us not being able to easily step into the higher self that we're starting to turn on more and more, and we know that we can be. But there's a gap in the process of embodiment, basically. So we get the intelligence, and then the intelligence cycles around in our mind for a bit. And then eventually we learn to step into the embodiment of the knowledge. And healing past ancestry is work that I do with people really profoundly when they study the Akashic Records with me. It's really very important on the planet. The guides have dropped into my field a million different ways. But as we prepare to step into the new earth and what we get to create, we do need to clean up this biological imprint and categorization and passing on and replication of humans, the guides are saying. It's good. I got good guides in the house. I love you all being in here with me today. All right, so let me tap in and see what kind of information wants to come through there. Man, they just keep screaming Shasta. If anybody's interested in going to Shasta, please type Shasta in the comments, and team, make sure that you get information to those people on Shasta. Pete says, enjoying and appreciating your insight and messages. You're so welcome, Pete. I thank you for being here. Thank you all for creating with me the encouragement of your presence here, showing up, prioritizing this information, letting it be something that pings new thoughts in your thought field. This is why we do the great work that we do. All right, let me see, just again, there's one, I feel like there's one more activation that really wants to come in. Okay, they want to go back to when we were talking before with Stacey and that energy around the root chakra and feeling safe. So this is for everybody who resonates. I'm just going to invite you, tap on the heart space. You can take the fingers and like put them in this little claw shape. And the tips of the fingers are, imagine them as energy, like almost just like little suction cups. They can pull energy out, and they're also going to communicate to your body in pulsation. Okay, everything is energy, everything is vibration. Take a deep breath in with me. Gather your remembrance and your ability. The part of you exhale that inherently knows how to communicate with yourself through pulsation. I'm going to stand up so you can find the locations of these points. Okay, heart, thymus chakra, and then I got my cool leather pants on here. Actually, I'm going to go all the way down. We're going to do root chakra. Sorry. You didn't know you were getting this one today, did you? Okay, roots at the base of the spine. You can do in the front or the back. I'll go ahead and do it in the front here for you. So just tapping again, root chakra, heart, and just realigning your safety. See, look how safe I feel here with y'all. Tapping the crotchal area, live on camera. I sat down, so I had to hide into it. There you go. Yeah, maybe you want to do it from the back body too. Nice deep breath in. Whether you're sitting or you're standing, feel your feet on the floor as well. Feel yourself connected to Mother Earth. Bring the hands together in prayer pose. Deep breath in. Slight pressure on both palms. This creates synergy and balance in the left and right hemispheres, the masculine and feminine energies of the body. And just take a moment to feel all the energy that's moving in the field. Trust that the energy as it's moving in your body, it's medicine. We've called up consciousness. It's going right where it needs to go. Good. And then release the hands, palms up in a receptive position. And just get all those last minute goods that the Akashic Records want to bring forward for you today. Thank you all so much for being here. I love you. I'm excited to continue working with you all and see what unfolds. I'm excited to see what each one of you show up and create here on the planet. I love you. Thank you for doing the work. Namaste. I'll see you next time.